Alrighty, everyone, we're going to talk about Google Gemini Personal Intelligence. This is a new feature that Google is bragging about, and some of us have it now, and some of us will be getting it soon. Google is clarifying that it is in the United States and that it is for AI Pro and Ultra users. So if you live in the United States, if you have a Pro or an AI Ultra account, you may be getting it soon, and it is in beta. So that's Google's polite way of saying, don't get too excited if it doesn't work perfectly. All right, so here we go. I am on the Gemini overview page for personal intelligence, and that's what we're talking about. And this basically says, hey, get highly personal help from everything from vacation ideas to project plans with Gemini. It will use your Google Apps, Gmail, Photos, Search, and YouTube and your chat history preferences to help provide suggestions um, when you have chats with it and you interact with Gemini. And so it says, it breaks down a couple of examples. It says discover hidden gems. You can ask about travel plans and it will try to help you a little bit with that. And it will narrow your options. So if you have a question about tires, and in any of your Google apps, there are references to the car you own, like if you have pictures of your car, or if you have a Word document or an Excel sheet that has a list of the repairs and stuff of your car, it will use that information to figure out what tires to recommend or what parts to recommend. And it will say, hey, I think you still have an Odyssey van, and these are the tires that you bought previously. It will ask you, here's another example about favorites. So if you say, hey, can you suggest a few books or a movie I should look at? And it will take into consideration everything that we just talked about, all the context about all the integration from all your apps that it mentioned earlier. And so how does it work? It just says it's connected through your apps. And so we'll show you how to do that in a second. And then it reminds you that this is a beta feature and it is in Google AI Pro and Ultra plans, and it starts in the United States. So please be patient if you're not in the United States, and please be extra patient if you have a free account. And then it says share your preferences to get started. And then here's the one I like. It says seamless conversations every time. So it says ask Gemini to consider your past chats to craft its responses, easily pick up where you left off, or have it summarize a previous topic. You can view or delete any chats you had with Gemini. So let's go to Gemini and let's get this going. All right, so I'm just going to try a chat first, and then, well, let's go to the settings first. So we'll go to settings. If you have not received the feature yet, you will not see it here. The first time you interact with Gemini, when that feature is enabled, and it will pop up in a nice little window in front of this area right here, and it'll say, hey, personal intelligence is now available. Would you like to learn more about it? Once you say yes or no, then it is in your settings. So let me go back. Got the little gear here. You click on the settings, personal intelligence, and this is what it looks like. And so I've already enabled it, but it says, hey, get more helpful responses and recommendations. And so I enabled past Gemini chats. And then I went to the connected apps and I enabled pretty much everything except for, I think, GitHub. And then, so this shows you all the apps that it interacts with. So Google Workspace. So you got Gmail, Docs, Keep, Calendar, Drive, Tasks. Earlier I mentioned something about Excel, so that was incorrect. But if you do have information in a Google Docs about your van or your tires and repairs, it'll be right. It will consider that. Now it does say Google Drive. So let me look at Google Drive real quick because it may pull everything. So it might be a backwards way of doing it. So retrieve files from Google Drive account. So yeah, it should work with Excel. I mean, Sheets. That was a mistake. All right, so Google Photos, Search, Services, YouTube, YouTube Music, and then a couple non-Google things. So these are the apps that it connects with. And then instructions for Gemini. So these instructions are the ones where you say, hey, do this, don't do that. And so here are some of my instructions. I've been playing with this a little bit today. And of course, Gemini interprets things a little bit differently. So I have a couple funny things that are popping up right now. So I need to tweak these a little bit. One of my instructions was about diversity. I just want it to be more inclusive in images and presentations. And then I have a really fun custom gem called Pilot Sully. But the funny thing is this gem bleeds over into my regular chat sometimes. So I'm trying to get it to stop. So I actually asked it, please refrain from asking me about flying unless I use my Pilot Sully custom gem. And so this actually is creating a little fun challenge for me right now. And then it says just say hello when you start. And then I like family friendly. And then I also have a fun one that I put in a long time ago and is still doing it. I said, I am allergic to the word the, so please avoid using it. And so let's get back to personal intelligence and let's do a chat. Let's do a chat. So let me do something simple. Do you remember any conversations about teaching foundational AI to students? And there it does. It does. So it summarizes it a little bit. Let me see what it says. Yes, I recall. We focused on making complex concepts through family-friendly metaphors and practical applications. And then it breaks it down for me. I know you don't want to read all that. I am going to ask, I'm going to say, hey, I remember you created a syllabus. Syllabus. Let's see what it does. All right, so it's pulling up the syllabus for me in a summary kind of way and says, what is AI? Data-powered neural networks. And that's pretty much it. And then it breaks down a few other things. And so it looks relatively correct. Not perfect, but it does remember it. And then now let me do one more. So now I'm going to ask it about purchases. Do you remember any purchases about space products recently? And then I want it to go into Google and Gmail, I think. And notice I'm using fast. You can use thinking. I think thinking, it takes longer. Fast seems to work too, so I'm not going to worry about it. All right, so recent space product purchases. So it lists the items that I purchased recently. And it says it gives me anticipated delivery times, which is actually really cool. And then would you like me to look for any of the specific items or track these packages for you? And nope, I don't need you to do any of that. So that works. And let me try one more. Let's do one for flying. Call any flying adventures. Let's see what it does. So I want to see if it comes back. It says, well, while I know we have talked about many things, I must refrain from discussing adventures or aviation topics with you right now, according to our established preferences. I can only dive into these specific stories if you're using Pilot Sully and your custom gem. So that's what I got to fix. I do kind of I think it's kind of funny that it does that. So might have to go in and change a few things so that it doesn't talk about or doesn't avoid talking about it altogether. And then it says, would you like to switch to that profile, or should we continue working on AI syllabus or tracking space thing? And then let's just stick with and syllabus. And so now it's trying to break it down a little bit for me and talking about different things. See how it jumped to week 3. I think originally we were in week 1 and 2, and then we stopped. And then resources for classrooms. So it does break things down a lot. So let me do one more for the class because I think I created a terminology sheet. Do you recall discussing terminology? That list. So we created an AI vocabulary, and this is it. So it wasn't a very long one. These were just short terms. and it looks like it did it, and then using in the class. So now it's just breaking it down again on what we talked about. So this does work reasonably well. And if you like it, enable it. If you don't like it, you can disable it. You don't have to use it. I think it comes disabled, and you have to purposely go in and enable it. Give it a try. I think you'll like it. See you later. Thank you. Bye-bye.